Good afternoon from Nairobi. I'm sure some of it is good morning. I think we were supposed to have started 2 minutes ago, but we are trying to allow a bit of time for others to join us. And then we can start the meeting. I see Peter is here. Hi, Peter.
Hi, Tuesday. Sorry, I was just trying to unmute myself, the usual super challenge. Nice to see you. And great to see so many people joining us as well.
Okay. So I think because of the time element, we could probably get started, and those who come late join us as we go along.
Yes, yes.
Okay, I'd like to welcome you to this meeting. The last successful meeting we held was more than a year ago. But we did come out with resolutions which have been very helpful in shaping our way forward. Probably I'll look briefly at the agenda. After the welcome message, we shall have Peter lead us through a discussion on Global South in the DSA context. We'll have Indrajit lead in a session of sorting out what our expectations are from our membership of DSA as Global South members. I'll then present the South to South mentoring initiative, which was mooted in the earlier meeting and which has gone through a lot of deliberations at council level and finally been approved. After that, we shall have Felix lead in the discussion on the Global South Study Group, which seems to have gone dormant and which we would like to revitalize. Then we can discuss on the way forward. In the last meeting, there were a number of issues which were raised. One of the major issues was access to opportunity for publication in Global North journals by Southern academics and researchers. There was an issue about how the challenges we have in financing and enhancing the quality of journals in the Global South. We discussed about how we can set up opportunities for training and mentorship between academics and practitioners, as well as students. Then we discussed about problems which have been experienced in recognizing the work done by Global South researchers and academics. There was the issue of difficulties in attribution of the contribution of Global South researchers and academics, particularly in joint research work with Global North counterparts. And then there was an issue of informed consent when carrying out research in the Global South. This was discussed at length, and we finally presented to the DSA Council a number of recommendations. One was for DSA to look in the possibility of putting together a book from the DSA Africa Study Group. The other recommendation was to look into a possibility of developing a compendium of quality research on development carried out in the Global South. The other recommendation was setting up a multidisciplinary South-to-South collaboration and mentorship scheme. The other possibility was developing a directory of Global South institutions offering development studies and looking at their approaches. And finally, a possibility of carrying out research on youth development interventions in the Global South. Now, after lengthy discussions, the Council settled on us carrying forward with the mentorship initiative. And that we've done. We've gone through several discussions and recommendations and come up with an initiative, which I shall be presenting in detail. Also, probably at this point, I would like to point out that we intend to start a pilot of that initiative almost immediately, and we'll be sending out a call for expression of interest after this conference. The pilot will be quite small, and it will help us to fine-tune the initiative. I think that's about all I need to say for now. I'll probably, at this point, I don't think there will be any questions. Any questions, particularly with the initiative, will be dealt with after I've done the detailed presentation. Now, in our various discussions, we have a Global South subcommittee within the Council, which has been moving forward all these issues. And among the issues which were discussed by the committee is our definition of Global South in the context of Development Studies Association. And I would like to ask Peter to lead us in this one.
Thanks, Tuesday, and hello everyone. And it's really great that so many can join us here today. I think this is a really important opportunity to come together today in the midst of such a challenging time globally. And clearly we are just sort of gradually surfacing out of the worst ravages of the COVID-19 pandemic. Although I must say, in my country here in the UK, the numbers of infections are increasing very rapidly again, and I think many other countries are also experiencing the same. So that brings more uncertainty. But we're also seeing many other multiple crises which are arising going forward. I would just say that the Development Studies Association continues to bring its perspectives as a learned society around development studies, and really wants to bring its influence wherever possible to champion development studies as a global agenda. So although the DSA is located in the UK context, it is clearly dedicated to promoting thought, academic leadership and insight and knowledge contributions around a global agenda, which is affecting everyone's lives all the time. And we know that progress with development is being made through united efforts and international cooperation on many global challenges. So, of course, those are encouraged and promoted by the UN Sustainable Development Goals, the SDGs, even though we know many of the advances that were being made towards global development progress prior to the pandemic are in danger of losing ground. or even being thrown into reverse. We know, just for example, thinking about instances of poverty, but also looking at many other dimensions of the SDGs, that actually in many contexts, progress has now been thrown into reverse gear. We also know that the COVID-19 pandemic has highlighted the world's vulnerability to epidemics and infectious diseases. We've seen the limited capacities for effective preparedness and response, yet research is indicating multiple ways in which the crisis is catalyzing new local and global solidarities and fresh approaches to science and evidence, which we're going to need in responding to future health and other global challenges, because we know there will be more pandemics. Other crises are going to continue. So we're not doubtful about whether or not these things are going to come again in different forms. The question is not if, but when, and the question is how collectively do we try to prepare ourselves as best as possible by collectivizing our effort. The pandemic is obviously adding to existing and creating new uncertainties in people's lives and livelihoods. I see from the list of names of participants here, I'm imagining that we have participants joining us from around the world. And we know that in many countries of the world, we're seeing rapidly growing food insecurity. We're seeing challenges around energy access and costs. We're seeing general rises in the cost of living. The impact of war and conflict, which is having global impact. Obviously, the ongoing crisis around climate, environmental change. But in responding and adapting to these multiple uncertainties and intersecting crises, we know that there are many examples, many great examples of concerted action at global, national, and local scales to transform the systems that create vulnerabilities. And many efforts are underway to recognize and scale and replicate the many innovative ideas that communities are identifying to improve resilience and to address the needs of those who are being left behind. So the DSA is located within the UK context, and we can see national directions in the UK on global development evolving. You may have seen the recently published UK government's International Development Strategy, for example, but we definitely see the DSA as part of a global ecosystem of development studies, knowledge actors, and that includes researchers, advocates, pracademics, people who bridge the world of practice and academia, and many other actors as well who are committed to positive change and transformation and justice within this very challenging world through the avenue of development studies. So as a learned society, the DSA can promote mutual learning around these global challenges that affect all of us, but particularly it has a role to catalyze exchange of diverse knowledge and experience, and also to facilitate active engagement amongst the global community of scholars that that this pays particular attention to the needs and the interests and the voices of members of that community located in the global south. So the DSA has a number of study groups. I'm sure you're familiar with those. You might be participants in some of the others, and it includes a Global South group. There's also a Decolonizing Development group, and there are other study groups as well, where some of the issues I've just been speaking about intersect with interests of members who reside in the Global South. And I think a key question we'd like to explore with you all today is really to understand the relevance and the ongoing contribution that the Global South group can provide. I think one of the challenges we face is always time, availability of people to be involved. As Tuesday, and I must give great thanks particularly to Tuesday, but also to other members of the Global South group who you'll be encountering in this call shortly, that just facilitating and engaging, catalyzing conversations, dialogue, and active engagement within a Global South group is not always easy, because of course people are very busy. We have time differences, and the last 2 years has been a particularly challenging time. But this is an opportunity, I think, to re-galvanize this Global South group within this broader conversation around global development challenges that affect us all. And we're really particularly interested in what a DSA-hosted Global South group can offer to participants who would like to be involved in it. So in a minute, after this immediate session, Indrajit will be taking us with a discussion really around, what this group could offer to each other in terms of kinds of support to help to catalyze Then in a few more minutes after that, we'll hear more about the mentoring scheme that Tuesday mentioned. But this is just a space for a few minutes just to think, given the broader context that we're really grappling with, what should be the areas of focus for a Global South study group within this array of DSA-hosted study groups, which does not separate this as somehow othering participants from a set of challenges which perhaps UK-based institutions are thinking about, but really are bringing that voice, that experience, those different kinds of knowledges into this space, which can help the whole of the DSA membership engage and learn together through this involvement and this particular area of focus. So I hope Tuesday that there's a little bit of justice to the conversations which have been going on, and I think we'd like to open up the conversation. I think we can use the chat, and we can also, I think, invite people to put their hands up to invite comments, ideas, really around what you feel should be the areas of particular focus for this group that really would excite you, that would, you know, given all your commitments and time constraints, that would really give you a sort of feeling, yes, I would like to be part of this group, and to kind of an active opportunity for engagement with scholars relating to development studies around the world. Tuesday, I'm not sure whether you'd like to add anything to that. And I failed to introduce myself too, which I apologize for. I should have said this right at the beginning. I was so excited to see you all here. I'm Peter Taylor, and I'm Director of Research at the Institute of Development Studies, which is based in the UK at the University of Sussex. So Tuesday, let me hand back to you.
Okay, I think before we take any questions, I'd like to invite Indrajit to add to what you've just said, and then we can open it up.
Sure, thanks Tuesday. I'm Indrajit Roy. I'm a senior lecturer in global development politics at the University of York. And along with Tuesday, Felix and Peter, I'm on the Global South study group as well. And I think to add to what Peter was saying, it would be great to hear from you, you know, what sort of directions you think, what sort of direction do you think the study group should take in the context of the DSA? Down the line, we'll have a more, involved conversation about how we think about the Global South itself as a concept and as in practical terms. But I think at this point, it'll be great to hear, your thoughts on which directions we could take in the DSA, given the challenging times we're living in, but also the opportunities to connect over forums like this.
Okay. We can now take questions or comments from participants.
Just to say too, it's great to see participants introducing themselves in the chat, which is excellent, and that's really helpful. If you'd like to also just perhaps mention which institution you're from, would be really, really good. Then we get a sense of who's all participating too, but that's a good way as well to add introductions.
I'm not seeing any hands up. Okay. Dr. Palash.
Hello, everyone. I was waiting that other people might join first. So I have been a DSA member for a long time, I think from 2014 or 15. I am a senior lecturer at the University of South Wales. I'd like to share my thoughts with you, and would like to see how colleagues and my fellow friends all over the world think about it. when you hear about decolonizing development, I will be thinking like, who will decolonize this? Will this process be led by the people who have actually colonized this, or it will be led by the people who were colonized, who have the lived experience of being colonized, right? This happens to like in my university, and I'm sure like in other places. And if you look at the the DSA executive board, is I'm not saying it's like it's not entirely white, but it's predominantly white, right? So there is a power relationship anyway, and there is this something which I think which cannot be just wished away, because still international development is led by, the architecture of aid is led by Global Northern Fund, and who does not know that whoever pays the piper calls the shot, right? So if we truly try to understand, I'll try to be succinct now, that could we try to understand the unequal power relationship between development experts, right? So somebody like who travels from global north and go to global south. In my experience, if you Google me, I mean, you don't have to, but you'll see that I'm trying to develop something under the broad banner of aid ethnographies, which I call national development experts. So I have produced 3 articles in Third World Quarterly and Development Policy Review. The whole idea of national development experts is against the broad criteria of international development experts, right? So people who travel from global north are international. In my experience, I have seen some of them are a fresh graduate, but still can wield significant power over many experienced colleagues in global south, right? Which is true. So we could potentially understand that the power unequal relationship among development expertise on the one hand, and the other one could be as a proposition about the disparity in terms of knowledge production, right? People in the global south, it is difficult for them to come along. I understand, I could see the agenda that we have a south-south mentoring process. It is difficult for them to get open access published, but if you're in the UK or in the global north, you have your institutional collaboration with some key publishers so that your article can get open access. Most fund, led by global northern scholars, they can open access it. So yeah, in summary, one, I would like to propose that could we understand the inequality of power relationship between development experts, which I call international development experts, and between national development experts. And 2, could we also think of in truly radical manner the politics of exclusion in knowledge production in development studies? Sorry for taking a little longer time, but I hope you understand. Thanks very much.
Thank you. Hamad Nawaz, you want to make a comment? I thought I saw a hand up, but it has disappeared. Anybody want to either comment on what you've heard or add something new? In which case, can I go back to either Indrajit or Peter to make a comment?
Peter, did you want to sort of say something further, and then I'm happy to take the conversation forward if you like.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I think, Palash, thank you for raising those issues. It's interesting, actually. I was in a conversation exactly on that discussion with a number of African colleagues on Friday, and I think the questions you raise are very pertinent and would be a really important area for this group to actually engage with, because I think the question is, if you want to promote transformation in the system, how do you actually bring that about, through what forms of dialogue. I think one of the interesting questions for this specific group is that how does it relate to another DSA study group, which is actually on decolonization, where I think some of the issues you've mentioned are also there present. And I guess that's a question about the extent to which these two study groups have shared or similar interests, or whether there should be greater confluence between that. I'm just reflecting, I've actually just been in an interesting situation where through a process of engagement with researchers in Africa and also in Latin America, we've come to the conclusion that the funding for a project that we're all engaged in should be held by one of them rather than us at IDS, because we just feel that it's important to walk the talk, and part of the power relations are determined through resources. Who holds the resources, who accesses them, who makes the decisions, and we feel that without sort of almost fatally undermining the collaborative project from the beginning, the question of actually who holds the resources and who makes the decisions is really fundamental to how that research process then unfolds. So I think there, many of us are certainly involved in these conversations around those power disparities. The challenges you've raised around who's perceived to be an international expert, who's perceived to be a national expert, are a constant. Who I think, as Tuesday introduced in the overview at the beginning, some of these issues as well about access to publishing, access to resources, who is around the table, crucial, discussions and dialogues about setting agendas and priorities for research in this area. These have also been identified previously. So I think it would be really good to think, to encourage responses, Palash, to the points you just raised, and to encourage others who are here today to think about practically how can this group, should this group, in fact, play a role, and in what way should it be configured within the broader DSA arrangements. I think these are good open questions, and I think it's really important to have a chance to get input from those who are here today on time. Thanks.
Before we come back to Roy, I see two hands up. Let's start with Ayesha, and Rakia after Ayesha. Ayesha, please come on.
Hello. My name is Ayesha. I hope you all are doing well. Well, I'm an academic and a practitioner from the development sector. So in pursuance of what we are discussing today, I think my concern arises from the dependency of Global South on Global North in many areas, particularly in terms of economic growth and development. And I feel that an important area to look at for furthering what DSA is already doing in terms of its role would be the accountability of interventionist measures of Global North into Global South. Who will manage it, and what are the criteria of classifying the interventions, as we see that Global South is in a lot of matters, particularly those pertaining to sustainable development and in achieving SDGs and ensuring the implementation of SDGs, Global South tends to follow Global North. So I think that the intervention needs to be perhaps curtailed or examined through the lens of accountability as to what they consider is suitable for us. Is that really what Global South requires? So I think because Global South is certainly, different from Global North, in my perspective, every country, because of its factor endowment and geographical, distribution, etc., is different and can adopt a customized, model of sustainable development. And whereas imposing a set of, 17 SDGs, in my opinion, is a bit unfair. And I think one should examine the way to go about, allocating or assigning sustainable development goals for the developing world, especially those in Global South. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Aisha. Dr. Rakia.
Thank you very much.
Aisha, you can put your hand down, please.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Thank you very much. I'm a lecturer with the National Open University in Nigeria, and where I participated in developing the program for BSc development studies for the institution. And now we're going. Hello?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, and now we are going on to stages for final. So it's been approved. We have students, and we have different stages of accreditation. But what I noticed as we approached accreditation stages is to find that in terms of a truly interdisciplinary framework for actually accrediting development studies within the university system, particularly in the Global South, is still very rare. I had done some research to find out from the Global South what are the frameworks of accreditation that are available in the Global South, but met with this overwhelming situation whereby most of the frameworks remain in single discipline. So I became a bit nervous on how this is going to go. So even our accreditation system within the Global South for Development Studies still remain single discipline, because most of the time you will find that development studies are offered as specialized degrees in a number of reputed universities across Global South, but they are normally done under a particular faculty, maybe Department of Faculty of Agriculture or Economics. But that truly interdisciplinary approach with a strong footing on just being that, it's lacking. So I think one of the things we should start looking at is how we develop, how we define development studies for the Global South, and how we begin to develop a framework for accreditation that is fully accountable to our own approach to development. I think that's one way we could start. And of course, because we know that the biggest issue with development studies, to be honest, is although it claims, despite the claim that it is about the studies of the Global South, one of the travesty is that most of the center of excellence still remain in the West, and then they are also published as such. So that also is kind of problematic when we talk about experts. And when we talk about how institutions recognize expertise when we come to consult for them, because I also work in practice, and I know that that is also a problem. That is also problematic. I guess that's all, but to also say I think this mentorship is a step in the right direction. Well done. I salute those who suggested that. It was something that I was also thinking about, and then we'll wait and see how that unfolds. Thank you.
Thank you. Please put your hand down, Josephine. Dr. Josephine Malonza, please come on.
Yeah, thank you. Good afternoon from Kigali, Rwanda, or good morning for anyone that's attending from the Asia, or good evening. So Josephine Malonza is my name. I come from Kenya, but I'm working in Rwanda now, where I founded the School of Architecture 12 years ago. And so really, I've already written this in the chat, but I just wanted to reiterate how lucky I feel to be in this forum, because it's my first time ever in a global South, kind of a round table where we need to meet and we need to discuss, the issues. Because I mean, apparently Global South has become the in thing now. This is the fact that there are many lessons to share between the two divides, and how do we, bridge this gap? How do we learn from each other? And so I was going to suggest something that I'm trying to do here in Rwanda. I think we can try something like this. And this is being an architect, obviously, and this is about calibrating human sentiments in the Global South. I'm an alumni from the Catholic University Leuven in Belgium. I know they are doing something like this, but I think from this forum, we might want to start looking at our countries. And if I just talk specifically about Rwanda, is the fact that we are seeing a little bit of the indigenous or the traditional architecture coming back to life again now. So I think the trajectory has been that we first rushed to borrow everything, if possible, copy paste from the global north. But it looks like we are at a time of slowing down, thinking, and we are actually now able to look back and bring back, from our past. So in Kigali, we do have this kind of new architecture coming in that is, purposefully coming from, the indigenous setting. And so I think if a few cities can, start this kind of work where we are doing a little bit of mapping, this trajectory of human settlements, the different typologies that keep on coming in and going. I mean, COVID, post-COVID architecture, human settlement, housing, we might just realize that there are common patterns or there are points of interest that the research can go up from. Thank you.
Thank you, Josephine. We could probably now come back to Roy.
I think Tuesday, Dr. Mariam Faruqi has a hand up. Should we hear from her?
Yeah. Hello, everyone. I'm not a doctor, but yes, like my name is Mariam Faruqi and I'm from Pakistan, Lahore School of Economics. So I recently completed my MPhil in development studies. And of course, it's my first time here in this platform, So I just like to make a comment about the mentorship program. I think it's a really great initiative because I have an MBA degree as well before coming into the development studies field. And I did feel that even though I had an MBA and I had been working for a decade before going back to college, I do feel that there's still a lot of lack of awareness about development and what development studies actually is. So this mentorship or these initiatives could actually help create more awareness about what this field is so that more people could take it up as a career, as profession. And the mentorship should not only be between the South and the South, but it should also be, by the North for the South, because it's a great learning opportunity for a lot of people like us, so we can just spread it more, because there's still a lot of room to create awareness about what development actually means and what are all the areas, because it's a very broad thing. So even for me, it was like, okay, everything's falling under development, so how big or how vast it is. So it's kind of overwhelming sometimes, and you're like, okay, so why did I not know this for like 35 years of my life, and what was I doing? Am I still like being a responsible citizen? So we need to have like certain programs in which, like other people who are not maybe academic or who are like in other fields of disciplines to kind of collaborate and include development aspects into their things as well. Even if it's literature or if it's management, so they need to be kind of connected to development, because like my background was business and management, and when I did development, I thought it was connected but still separate. So if we have like more kind of collaborations with other fields, it's going to kind of, I feel, enhance the impact of development and not just kind of stick to one part. So it's going to give us more helping hands, like that's what I feel that should be done. Thank you.
Thank you, Mariam. Any other hand I might have missed? Okay. I think then I'll leave the floor to Roy.
Thanks, Tuesday, and thanks to everyone who's contributed so far. I think what we wanted to do was really take the conversation forward in terms of course, as a Global South study group. One of the things that we wanted to, I guess, throw up for discussion or to have your views was. And I think somebody mentioned it, and it's, a couple of you mentioned it, the term Global South has become fashionable again. And I think it means many things. And of course, the term South or South-South collaboration, or, the South versus North divide is not new. It's been with us since the 1950s, at least. It is part of the anti-colonial struggles. It's part of the entire sort of, Bandung and non-aligned movement, discussion. So the term South has been around, but like some of you said, the Global South seems to be making a comeback. So as a study group, we thought one of the things we might actually want to do is to think about what does this term Global South actually mean, and how can we use it to our advantage. You're right, Josephine, that some of the journals have taken a very conscious view of promoting researchers from the Global South, and so that term is quite sort of relevant. And so we just wanted to, as a study group, to, if you had any thoughts on, how you might consider the term Global South. Is it simply a geographic term, do you think, which refers to, the economically poorer regions of the world, or regions of the world that have been marginalized and oppressed because of capitalism or colonialism? Or is there something more than just a geographic labeling that one can use the Global South for? For instance, we might suggest that the Global South is not just a territorial term, but it's a conceptual term that refers to spaces of resistance against, and I think some of you talked about it, against northern or Western dominance in multilateral settings, in the production of knowledge, and in the perpetuation of global hegemony. So there could be these two ways of thinking about the term Global South. One, which is very, very sort of territorial, refers to the so-called poorer regions of the world that are trying to catch up. And I think that term was used and in a critical sense just now. Whereas another way of thinking about the Global South, as some of you already alluded, is to think about a reference to spaces of resistance against the domination of the North. And maybe a third way of thinking about the Global South is to reflect on the South as referring to different sets of cross-regional alliances. Which is what this group seems to be. I mean, there are 70 odd people in this room drawn from different regions of the world. And the Global South is precisely that, rather than just being a territorial reference to poverty or a space of resistance which rejects everything that apparently comes out from the West. It's more of a network of scholars, of practitioners, of people who are interested in diverse disciplines, as somebody mentioned, So there are these three ways of thinking about Global South that comes up, and I'm sure there are many more that we can think about. So I just wanted us to take a moment to reflect on the term Global South, and based on that reflection to suggest what how we could as a group maybe coherently think about that term when we use it. We don't have to have one definition, obviously, and the entire idea of the Global South is it is, after all, 88% of the world's people, so that's huge. We cannot impose one definition on this group, but it's just worth thinking conceptually as well as practically what the term Global South might mean to us. Janice Lazarus, you have your hand up in case you wanted to come in.
Yeah. Hi, everybody. And Indrajit, I really appreciated the points that you made. And I just have a few things I wanted to say. First of all, it's lovely being part of this conversation. And I definitely love the idea of a mentorship program, and to begin with understanding what does the term Global South really mean to us. And I just wanted to say that I think before we get into what's the global north and the global south, we first need to understand that they are not homogeneous. They are so intersectional, and especially like I've noticed that in development studies classes in the UK, it tends to be so white centric. And many of the people who I taught actually had never stepped foot in a developing country. But these people would then end up with good jobs in organizations that then come to determine what practices are good or not so good. So I think the first thing is to recognize that there's no homogeneity, it's intersectional, and it's a lot more complicated than when we put an umbrella term like Global South. We actually do a lot of injustice to the diversity of the many peoples that we work with. The second thing I feel important for this study group is in our understanding of the Global South is to understand what are the common historical factors as well as present development factors that affect most of us, if not all of us. What are these common spaces? And how do we create an understanding of these common factors wherein we can learn from each other and benefit and grow in a direction that could try to make a better world or to develop a better world for all of us, whether we're in the global north or the so-called global south. And this includes things such as gender, race. And these need to be not looked as side issues, but as things that are integral to our discussion. And to be able to use the term or the concept of the Global South as a traveling concept. It's not something that is only for poorer countries or only for more vulnerable populations, but to make it a concept that can add value to understand complex systems of international development that affect people at various levels and see how they merge together. For example, like the migration policies or the war in Ukraine. How is that actually affecting not just people in Ukraine, but in other parts of the world? And what does it mean for, I don't know, like agriculture or, raising children or mental health? And I think it's really important for us to give space for this kind of intersectionality. And I think the bottom line is to, as a study group for the Global South, is to have some kind of core values that we feel will enable us in this quest of, developing knowledge and sharing knowledge and creating a system which would actually help us make the world a better place. Yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Janice. I think those points are really, really very well taken, especially to reflect on the diversity within the Global South and to, urge us to think about core values that might reflect the intersectionality. Shabana Fayaz, I see your hand up. Do you want to come in? Please, go ahead.
Hello and Assalamu alaikum, everybody. I'm really, really excited to be a part of this conference, as has been with other people as well. This is my first time being in the development forum in the United Kingdom, though I have graduated from here, from the University of Birmingham. And I'm presently based in Quaid-e-Azam University, and I'm heading a department called Defense and Strategic Studies. The name looks quite hardcore, but believe me, it's not that hardcore. I specialize on non-traditional security issues and on issues of radicalization, extremism, and food, and all the ambit that comes into it. So we are diversifying the whole notion. Why basically I have been applicant to this conference and secured the funding as well was basically to get to know the interdisciplinary linkages that exist within the development and security. Because to me, security is a human security, and it is also a traditional security. So I really believe in integration, and I'm really looking forward to learn from you, all of you, and be networked with the community. I feel that within this group, it's South-South is a perfect new term used these days, very much in fashion. Like after 9/11, we picked up the term terrorism. But the fact of the matter is, it's old wine in the new bottle. So the dilemma for all of us is how to break that bottle. And I think that's where the role of development comes in. And as has been pointed out by one of the earlier intervention, Ms. Aisha, and others as well, Rakia as well, that we need really not to look into the dependency and counter-dependency syndromes. Development primarily means creating the channels of communication and indigenizing and reaching out to the global. And the best part about this, the South-South is the global. So it has the upward curve and the within the curve. So to me, that is the development. So forget what is in between the layers. The fact is how you can contribute a part of the train. So what I'll be presenting in one of the workshops is the role of faith-based organizations. And I'll be doing a case study, presenting a case study. This is my first kind of work that I'm undertaking after quite a long research into these issues, but not primarily on faith-based organizations. It's a great learning experience to be a part of this forum, and would love to be in touch on regular basis. And I plan to travel to England. There was a conference in Swansea, but somehow didn't get the visa is delayed. Maybe at later forum when I travel, I would love to be in touch with all of you, whoever comes across, be at a Midlands and have a formal tea or coffee here. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Shabana. There's a great comment which also chimes with what you're saying, Shabana, is that there are plural ways of living, and I think when we think about the term Global South, it is really reflecting on the relevance of the South in an era that is increasingly globalized. So I think that's really something we cannot ignore. And I think there's a comment here by Jacqueline as well, resonating with what has been said earlier, to think more about Southern theorizing and what responsibilities we might have in terms of when we talk about Southern theorizing. And I think that's a really, really useful comment, as well as something for us as a group to think on. I don't think we want to suggest that we do away with the term Global South. It does have a lot of relevance for all the reasons that have been mentioned right in the beginning in terms of colonialism and the sorts of impositions of certain kinds of knowledge. But the Global South is not only an area where there has been oppression, but there's also been sort of multiple ways of thinking and multiple ways of networking, which in a way the 70 odd people that are present in this room, in this Zoom room, are actually doing. So I think to sort of really reflect on the multidimensionality as well as the interdisciplinarity of that term, I think it's really, it's very, very useful. I think somebody pointed out earlier, how they wanted to think about a Southern city, from different disciplines, what would a Southern city look like, for example. And I think, with their architectural background, they can bring one set of perspectives, but then cultural studies folks can bring another set of perspectives. Economists can bring another set of perspectives. And in some ways, I think it's very useful to reflect on this breaking down of disciplines. There was a comment right in the beginning by our colleague from Nigeria, I think, who was struggling with trying to get accreditation for the development studies course. Because you end up with most development studies courses being in single disciplines. But remember, these disciplines themselves are actually colonial artifacts, because you had to sort of slot knowledge into certain boxes in order to, of course, make sense of the world. So economics was something that happened in the capitalist countries. Politics was something that happened again in the so-called democracies. Sociology was something where you did with people who were sort of more organized their societies, and anthropology is something you did everywhere else where people weren't organized in societies. I mean, I'm just caricaturizing, but I think this breakdown of disciplines that is being proposed here is quite central to the agenda of the Global South group, and I really welcome this. Before I hand back to Tuesday and thank everyone for your interventions, I would like to say that I am in the happy position of wearing two hats. I'm on the Global South group. I'm also on the Decolonizing Development Study group. So there is a very real reason to keep the two groups separate, because I think, going back to the point that was made right in the beginning, the Global North does have a responsibility to decolonizing, because, well, they were the ones who created the problem in the first place. So they cannot now sort of absolve themselves of the problem. So of course the Global South will be important, but the North cannot just wash its hands off. They have a historic responsibility, which they have to carry whether they like it or not. And believe me, they don't like it very much. So it is a conversation, very difficult conversations we have to have. Anyway, but I just want to say I'm in the happy position of both. And I think the membership of this group is likely to be fluid. Folks are very welcome to, be involved in both conversations and to sort of take, conversations from one to another. There are some very great points in the chat box, and I do hope it is possible by our colleagues in Nomadit to actually, collate these comments and send it around to this group. I do hope it'll be possible, Winifred, if you're still with us, to sort of use the Zoom chat function to send it along to everyone. But thank you so much for your interventions. And I'll hand back to Tuesday.
Yeah, thank you very much, and Rajit, Peter, and all those who have spoken. Very insightful thoughts. This session is being recorded, so we should be able to get back to it at our leisure after this. Now, probably a small clarification. We have the Global South Work Group, and we have the Global South Council Committee. This session has been organized by the Council Committee of the Global South. And later during the session, Felix will be taking us through the Global South Work Group, and we'll see how we can revitalize it. Thank you very much. Now, if probably we can move a bit forward. We've talked about the South to South mentorship initiative. I hope you can all see my screen.
Yes, we can.
Okay. So after the last conference we had, and we agreed that we should look at setting up a mentorship scheme, we carried out a survey, and we had responses from all over the Global South. The majority was from Africa, South America, Asia, and Oceania was just one response. We were asking whether it's an interesting thing to do, to have a South-to-South mentorship scheme. And the response was 68% of those who responded said, yes, it was a good idea and they would like to participate as mentees. And 32% said, yes, it was a good idea. They would like to participate as mentors. Now, there were various reasons why people wanted to participate. 27% said they needed support and to relevant to their work, others to sharpen their knowledge and skills, others to build relationships with other Global South members, and some wanted help at work. Now, the majority were early career researchers and academics, followed by PhD students, then established academicians and researchers. And then there were 10% from all other areas, like there were some master's students who were interested, some practitioners in other areas. Now, most interest came from Africa, with early career researchers being the majority and PhD students following. Asia also had a substantial number. South America, there was not very much interest, and Oceania. Now, also, if we look at the interest as in the initiative, the majority wanted to participate as mentees, and the majority of these were from Africa, followed by Asia. The 10% wanted to be mentors from Africa, 1% from Asia, 3% from South America. So this helped us to to develop a proposal for discussion at the council. This proposal recognized that their skills, knowledge, and expertise, which can be shared between mentors and mentees, particularly when all parties are from Global South. The initiative focuses on principles of equality, partnership, cultural diversity, and identity, as well as local content. It acknowledges that expertise and experience exist in the Global South, and that relevant mentoring can be provided more regularly and efficiently than the traditional North-South approaches. Now, we were looking at the theory of change. The problem being that exclusion of scholars based in Global South from Northern dominated circuits actually undermines the quality of scholarship and sends a negative message signaling that Global South-based scholars do not have a role to play and in the production of knowledge, production and generation of knowledge. We found there's very little research done in the South, which ends up in high impact journals. And the existing structural inequalities and power asymmetries around knowledge for development globally can be shifted and realigned through an intervention that enables Global South scholars to build on existing capacities and to engage more extensively and facilitate the reach of their subsequent contributions to support their reputation. We recognize that scholars and practitioners in the South do have capacities. So it's not a capacity building exercise. we are enhancing the capacities which already exist. And with to build on how can I put it, so that we can recognize the knowledge from the South. The initiative brings together both parties from Global South and who have direct experience the Global South. That's the mentors and mentees. And this will be managed by DSA, but the ultimate outcome being to enhance Global South-based scholars' ability to overcome the more overt exclusion based on limited exposure to scholarly discourse opportunities available to those in the Global North. The key participants in this initiative we see as students, PhD students, early career academics and researchers, and established academics. Now, we are proposing a number of methodologies for mentoring. It's one-on-one mentorship, where the mentor and mentee are able to interact. It's the more traditional way of doing things. Then we're looking at one-to-many mentoring, where in addition to mentoring one mentee, the mentor can facilitate transfer of knowledge to more than one. So you can have one mentor mentoring up to 3 or so mentees. Again, in this arrangement, mentees can also be required or be asked to act as mentors to each other. Although it looks complicated, but it's considering the number of people who expressed interest in being mentors and those who expressed interest in being mentees, it looks to us like this might be the way forward to be able to use the limited resources we have to cover as much ground as possible. But we recognize that the maximum number of mentees one mentor can take in this one-to-many mentoring is 3. Now, we also have a community of practice where people come together and share common passion or common concern. And this one may probably be organized around subject matter or areas of expertise, as well as both the mentors and mentees playing a mentoring role. We recognize that because of this multiple involvement, we may end up with outcomes, unexpected outcomes, which were not part of what we had planned. Now, how do we measure success? We're looking at the number of successful mentoring arrangements which will have taken place, the number of scholars engaged in knowledge for development network events, the number of conference papers that are delivered or articles published as a result of the mentorship. There are other indicators which probably we'll be able to come up with as we go along. Now, although we are saying is South to South mentorship, the scholars from the Global North do have a role to play in this. One of the first roles is as before we start the exercise, we have to come to have a common understanding of the objectives of the South-to-South mentoring and methodologies, which will be done through a workshop or a series of workshops. We'll call upon the experience and expertise of global North-based scholars, including those from the global South who are based in Northern institutions. We'll tap them to help us in these initial workshops. Again, the North-based scholars and researchers may be invited to offer expertise in an area in which a mentor may find he or she needs support. They don't have sufficient experience or knowledge to support their mentees. Now, in order to implement this, we are proposing to have a pilot program, which should start after this conference. The pilot will be quite small. We want to start with between 6 and 10 pairs. That's mentors and mentees, and run it for approximately about 6 months, after which we shall review in our workshop. This pilot will help us determine how effective this relationship is, and we can make appropriate adjustments to the assumptions we made before when developing the initiative. We shall then, from the workshop, we shall develop a mentoring guide, a South-to-South mentoring guide, or a handbook, which will help us in rolling out the program. Now, in order to run the pilot, we shall carry out a mentee mentoring needs assessment. We have developed a tool which we shall forward when we send out a call for expression of interest to be mentored. Hopefully we shall provide it online on the DSA website so that people don't need to download, respond, and then send again. This will help us identify the areas of mentorship required and the effort required so that we can develop the methodologies necessary. We shall also send a call for expression of interest to mentors. We already have a number of members who had indicated interest. We have also developed a tool which will help us evaluate their competences to provide mentorship. After this, we shall then match the mentors and mentees according to the need and competency. Now, once we have selected the mentors, we shall have a virtual capacity enhancement workshop in collaboration with the Global North-based experts so that we come up with a common understanding of what the initiative is and it's not, and as well as the methodology to be deployed so that we are all moving in the same pace. And then after that, we shall have a virtual inception workshop for all the mentors and mentees before they start working individually with each other. We shall have a coordinator from the council for the pilot. later on, probably a full a part-time coordinator might be engaged by the council. So after the 6 months, after the evaluation and development of the guidebook or handbook, then we shall be able to roll out the program in a wider scale than what we have done in the pilot. So that's basically what we are offering in this mentorship initiative. If we can have comments. Questions or comments or any observations? Yes, Shabana. Go on, Shabana.
Yes, yes. I'm sorry I'm taking a bit long because actually I'm sitting on my bed and I'm having a fever. So excuse me for that. But look at my commitment to this whole project that I'm very much in. Excellent points you have been raising, Tuesday, about your whole plan of interest. I'm a bit confused about this element of who's going to be the mentor and who's going to be the mentee. What I will suggest here is that it should be cross-domain. That, as you have suggested, because the people belonging, let's see, on one climate and development, or migration and development and security or unrest. So 2 or 3 themes can be clubbed together, and then you can create the linkages that will give a more diversity to the whole purpose of building up a narrative on South to South and South to global, interactions. And number 2, I'm worried about the limited resources that we have, like sitting in Islamabad. It's although in a very good, well-connected place, but the fact is that we don't have facilities to have an unlimited access to the Zoom, on public universities. And it's not only us. So is there some sort of, assistance that will be available of limited sort? Because to do the data, you need to have some research assistance as well. And because the data in this field, our field, keeps on changing so much, and with our parallel job responsibilities, at times you are really running after 3 projects at the same time. So that might compromise the real quality of the workshop or the research projects that you are aiming for. So I think you should also keep in mind, have a reality check on what is available on ground. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you very much. We've looked at resources, and initially the pilot is being financed by the DSA, but we are looking at other organizations working in the Global South,
okay,
in the same areas, so that we can get together. So we are not limiting ourselves to a narrow DSA confine. That we will be, hopefully we'll be able to get resources to enable us to move forward. That's why we're running the pilot, to show us where the weak links are and where we need to enhance the program. Thank you very much. Any other observation? I hope I'll get most of you expressing interest when we send out the call for expression of interest. so that we can commence on this pilot as quickly as possible. Any questions, any comments? Okay, since we shall be sending out the call, which will have the details, I think I could leave it at that point and now call on our colleague Felix to discuss on the Global South Work Group. Felix?
Thank you very much, Tuesday. And hello to everyone. I hope everyone is doing well. So with the Global South Study Group, currently, we don't have a functioning study group. What we should know is that, you see, with the structure of the DSA, it is important that the Global South has a study group. And among other things, what we will be doing at the study group level would be to discuss issues that are of interest, to us, and also to be meeting in between the DSA conferences. So currently we have a WhatsApp group, but it's not a study group. So within these few minutes, maybe we can take our thoughts on how to revitalize or create a Global South study group that will be very active, and that would really ensure that we all are able to participate, and talk about issues that affects us, and also channel our concerns, and if we have other issues, that will give us the platform to discuss those issues, and then channel it through our representatives on the council, and of course also encourage research and other areas that we may all agree on. So let me take your thoughts on how you think we should go about it. Should we, for example, decide to set up a committee that would go and look at how to revitalize, the study group and come back with a report, or do we go on and then elect conveners here at this level? So I would like to please take your thoughts on this. Hello? I hope I wasn't muted.
Probably we are asking you to make the choice for us.
Oh, no, but I think, okay, actually, you see, the point is this. In the past, it has been more or less some few people making decisions, and then participation becomes a problem. So I think that this time around, we want to leave the decisions to you so that we all decide on how we want it to go. Because to be very honest with you, if you look at some of the issues that we've been discussing here, the issue of Global South and so on and so forth, if we had a functioning study group, there are so many issues that borders, the Global South, that we could be meeting frequently in between DSA conferences to have a discussion on them. So I believe that in order to facilitate participation, let us be part of the decision-making process. Okay, so let's decide on how we want it. Do we set up a committee to go and come out with how we should, because we need to have more or less a working document on how we want to elect conveners. We must have some strategic plan, something in place that will guide our operations. So I think that it's something that I want all of us to make inputs if we can. So please, let's make inputs. we will need some people to volunteer as conveners. So how do we want it? Do we appoint here, or we come up with a committee to go and think about it, and then come with a report later? Please, let's make inputs here.
Yeah, I think if you look at the WhatsApp group, it's mainly from Africa.
Okay.
So I think we probably need to look at the other regions.
Sure.
We probably have regional coordinators, and then come together, put the regions, have probably some joint discussions from time to time.
Yes.
But that can only work if we have people from the other regions other than Africa,
yeah,
coming forward,
yeah,
and offering themselves so that we can organize this.
Yeah.
Let's have your comments, please.
Okay, Shabana, your hand is up. Shabana, please. You have the floor. Shabana, please, you are muted. Hello, Shabana, you are muted, please.
Yeah, I'm doing it. I'm doing it. Bear with me, Felix. Somebody is responding, and we are all listening as well. Yeah. Yes, I agree with Tuesday's comment that we need to have a cross-regional perspective, and just had a conversation going on with Rakia as well from Africa. And I think to look beyond one region really enriches your experiences. That's what I've been trying to learn throughout my career. And I think we are all will continue to be on the learning curve throughout, So in case you want to have, we don't have good sharing practices at the moment. I don't feel, but there are success stories in South Asia as well. But they are half and half, like all South is, South and South. But it will be really great to have a comparative analysis and, and build a sort of, not for the sake of publication. The most of the people connect the regions for the sake of paper publications, but also link it with some minute sort of empirical evidence that can really enrich the case studies. And I'm available if you need, any research support, at my humble capacity. We will always love to be a part of this sort of informal arrangements. And the group has the emails of everybody. So I think initiating the dialogue, and you have initiated the dialogue, and you have expressed your keen interest. And this is something that I've always found my African friends always forthcoming, with good ideas. So let's be in contact, and we can build up together with other regions as well that are represented here. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Shabana. Please forgive me if I don't add doctor or professor to your name.
It's okay. It's okay.
Right. Okay. Thank you. Right. So, Rika, is it Rika? Yeah, Rika. Yeah, Rika.
Yes, it's Rukaya.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. What I wanted to suggest, Shabana has made the point, but just to add, if you can share what, like in terms of reference, what our expectation of a convener of such study group or what it entails, I think it will help in people coming forward, or even to know if there's already something similar and we can integrate into. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Rika.
Sorry, I'm not getting the option to raise my hand. I would like to make a comment, if you allow me.
Okay.
Thank you.
Janangi, right? Alam.
Yes, I'm from Bangladesh, and I'm a professor at the University of Dhaka in Bangladesh. So since you were talking how to make this group active, I would like to propose one thing. Is it possible to arrange a monthly seminar within the group and allowing people who are the members of this group to select themselves to offer to make presentations of their research papers. And I'm thinking this is going to be a good starting point to make this group active.
Okay, thank you very much. But let me respond. Let me attempt to respond to some of the issues we've raised so far before we proceed. I think so. Rukaya, you're talking about terms of reference. The terms of reference that we will use will not be different from the existing terms of reference that the DSA study groups have. So if maybe we want to have a look at that, we can talk to James to circulate the terms of reference of the. I think it's even on the website, but I'll try and see if Tuesday. I'm not so sure whether you have an idea about the terms of reference, but I know that it's on the DSA website for the groups, study groups.
Yeah, I think, like you said, it will be easier for James to circulate instead of people searching for that information.
Okay.
So much easier.
Okay. And then Alam, I think the monthly seminars, yeah, that's very important, but that would be some of the activities, or that would be how we would want to organize the study group. Okay. So once we have, I think that once we have, the conveners and then some structure in place, then we can now think of, how to organize ourselves in terms of meetings, in terms of areas of interest and activities and so on and so forth. So I am suggesting that we first and foremost have conveners in place, and the conveners will basically, see to the organization of the study group. Then, of course, we can then decide on the activities, and the various things that we want to embark on. Yeah. So, yes, Aisha.
Actually, I wasn't having the option of raising my hand again, so thanks. Well, talking about Tuesday's presentation on
Aisha, I can hardly hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, a bit better. Please go on.
Okay, so talking about Tuesday's presentation on mentorship, I think the mode of mentorship is really nice, and it hope and expect that a lot of students get to benefit from that. But my only small concern is.
I'm sorry, we cannot.
Aisha, we can't hear
your
you.
voice
I don't know whether it's
clearly.
your network, but there is a challenge hearing you clearly. Please try again. Maybe it will get better. So please try again, please.
I hope I'm audible now. Is it? Yes. Can you hear me?
I think it's a network problem. I think it's a weak network.
Okay. So let's give it. So please try again. Let's see.
I hope I'm audible now.
Okay, I think it's better now.
Yes, now
Yeah?
it's very clear.
Okay, thanks. Okay, so I was referring to Peter's presentation on mode of mentorship, which appears quite good to me. My only concern for majority of Global South students is the consideration for financing the PhD programs of those students, because most of the students majority of the inflow, find it difficult to submit or complete their PhD from some very renowned or well-established universities from Global North, or find a good mentor from Global South even. So I just want to know if financing of PhD programs is a consideration or not. Thank you.
Okay, Aisha, this question you have asked is a very, very important question. However, you see, because we don't meet frequently as a group, that is why when we meet like this, all the questions will be coming, from different angles. So I want to suggest that first and foremost, we look at how to revitalize ourselves into a study group And then all the issues that affect us, you know, we can bring them and then channel those issues through our reps on council to see how DSA can support us and to see other avenues that we can find support. Aisha, do you get what I'm trying to say?
Yes.
Good. So for now, my suggestion is that let's look at how we can organize ourselves. Then all the other issues, PhD funding, research issues, we will discuss those issues in our meetings. Otherwise, if we devote this period to look at all the issues of Global South, trust me, we won't finish. So I am suggesting that we look at how to organize our study group first.
I hope you will get to share this with us also, where about some certain platform or a group that you deem appropriate designing, where students or applicants who are interested, they can, you know, just express their concerns or the problems, or if they have any suggestions, so that this program of mentorship and for PhD applicants could, you know, turn out to be a good success. So I really look forward that, you know, you inform us or through DSA platform about a possible platform where we all can discuss and express our concerns. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Aisha. Any other thoughts?
Conference.
Any other thoughts? Okay, so Tuesday, what do you suggest? Should we ask people to volunteer to be conveners, or we set up a committee? How do you go about it? Because I want us to leave today's meeting with some concrete decisions so that we can have something going on even after the conference.
Yeah, I think we need to set up a small committee which will answer some of the questions I'm seeing about the terms of reference.
Terms of reference, okay.
About even the naming of the group in the website. So I think we need a small group to get together.
Okay.
We'll have a clear way forward, and then we circulate to everybody else and ask for people to volunteer. I see some people already volunteering in their time.
Okay. Okay. Right. So
Olofino also has a hand up.
Olofin. Hello, Olofin. Hello, Philip.
I think they left there.
Hello.
Okay.
Hello.
Yes, hello. Please go on.
This is Olofin from Nigeria.
Okay.
Yes. I also would like to support the notion that we set up a committee. And this committee, they will have known so many things about this program, and they are likely to be highly experienced people who will tell us how they are going to do it and the processes. Some people came late for the program, and some are inexperienced, and then some did not get all we have been discussing from the beginning because they came late. So I'm just suggesting I will support having a small committee that consists of experienced people in this area. Thank you.
Okay.
And I don't know whether already people have been grouped. I don't know, but I think the way I'm thinking, maybe we have been indirectly grouped based on our region. That's my view now, but I don't know whether I'm correct. I think you can get what I'm trying to say,
Sure.
that maybe we have been grouped based on our region where we registered. So,
okay.
Thank you.
Okay. So Tuesday, I think we can set up a committee then. I think some people have already started expressing their desire to volunteer to be members of the committee.
Yes, thank you.
Right.
And I can see they are from other regions as well.
Yes.
Yes.
And Rajit is suggesting we should be gender sensitive.
Yeah, gender sensitive, regional sensitive. Yeah. So maybe let's agree on the number. Do we how many members?
I can assure you, if we have more than 5 members, the committee will never meet.
Really?
Everybody assumes there will be a quorum if I don't attend.
Okay.
So I think we probably limit to about 5 members.
5 members. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So 5 members and right. So but with the 5, I think let's have regional balance.
Yeah.
So how many from Asia? How many from Africa?
And South America, we don't seem to have anybody.
Do we have someone from South America? I don't think so. So why don't you do 6 so that we do 3-3?
Okay, that will be fine.
Yeah,
and then
I'm from Colombia.
Oh, you're from Colombia. Great.
You are automatically a member of the committee. Okay, right. Or we do 5 and then 2, and then we add the one from Colombia. Tuesday.
Yeah. No. Yeah, probably. Isabella says she's from South America, but is not an expert in the field.
Oh, I think that here we don't need an expert in the field per se. I think what we need is organizational skills. Okay, so how are we going to organize ourselves so that in between DSA conferences we can be meeting and organizing activities and programs of interest. So I don't think we need any. We only need committed, people to volunteer and support. Yeah. So do we agree on the 5? Tuesday.
Yeah. Amal is asking about the Middle East. Where do you put Middle East?
You consider the Middle East, really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay. I think probably we try to make sure there is a representative from each of the regions. Okay. If it becomes more than 5, great.
Okay. 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 So let's consider the regions first. So we have Asia, and I'm seeing Southeast Asia region. The Southeast Asian region. Or do we put it together as Asia? Let's put it together.
They are going to be Asia.
Asia. So Asia, Africa, South America.
And Middle East.
Okay, and Middle East. Right. So can we decide to take 2 each or 2 from each of the regions? Would that work?
Yeah, that will be fine.
Okay, so let's start with Asia. I think already some people have volunteered, but just so that we can all see you, let me try and see if I can mention the names of those who have sent chats. Please, the chats are many, so could you please
raise up your hand?
Yeah, raise up your hand or talk and express your interest, please. I saw some alarm. I think alarm. The chats are many. The messages here are many. Could you please express your interest?
I'm from Bangladesh and South Asia.
Okay, so
Jahangir Alam Chowdhury.
Okay. Wow.
I think, why don't you note the names of those who are...
Yes, so for example, the one who just spoke, I want to know, could you please type your name? Kindly please type your name.
Jahangir Alam Chowdhury. Jahangir.
Yeah.
Please type your,
He has already done.
Okay.
Yeah. Andrespa. Andrespa, you want to make a comment, or you offering yourself?
Yeah, well, my name is Andres Patiño, and I'm from Colombia. I will be happy to participate in the committee as well.
No, okay. I think let's also do with the areas, the regions. So Colombia is South America, right?
South America, yes.
Okay, so, and the name is?
Andres Patiño.
Okay.
Andres Patno.
Okay, Andres, I wish you could type it so I capture the full name. Or Tuesday, could you? Because the chats.
Okay, South America.
Okay, South Asia. Okay, we have South Asia. We have
okay, so South America, Andres Patino. Yeah, okay, Asia. We have Jahangir Chaudhry.
So Asia.
Yeah.
How many do we have for Asia so far?
Sorry?
How many do we have for Asia? Because it looks like we have 2 for Asia now.
Who is the other one?
So we have
can we have a lady? Can we have a lady from?
Yeah, can we have a lady? I see somebody talking about gender sensitive. Please, yeah, we want to be gender balanced. So please, our females, kindly offer yourselves to be members.
Yeah, okay. While we are waiting for that, I see Shreyas Srivatsa from Asia. I see from South America, Isabella. Coelho. Okay. Middle East. You can see Jacqueline. Dalala. Rokia is from? Rakia is from where?
Rakia, please, where are you from?
Nigeria. Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, Africa.
So Tuesday, I want to suggest that Tuesday.
Yeah. I have a suggestion.
I want to suggest that when we finish with Asia, let's finish with Asia, the reps from Asia, and then we come to Africa. Okay. Otherwise, we will be a bit confused. Yes, Sabana wants to make a suggestion. Yes, Sabana. You are muted.
If there is a space, do place me in some group who have a gender balance. It may not be necessarily in South Asia.
Sabana, you see, we want you to offer yourselves, okay?
Sabana, you're from South Asia?
Where are you from?
Yes, but I'm willing to work in another group, not focusing on South Asia.
South Asia, okay.
Not focusing on South Asia.
Okay. Is anybody else who had offered themselves from Asia?
Simran has offered herself from Pakistan as well, guys.
Simran Assad.
Okay.
Assad.
Yes.
Okay,
So
that gives us 3 from Asia.
Okay, I think three should be fine for Asia. Is that okay? Or what do you think?
Yeah, okay.
Okay. So we can now move to Africa, right?
Did that
And
include
Africa,
Southeast Asia? Because there was someone from Southeast Asia. Sorry, Shailaja here. I think there was someone from Southeast Asia as well. We shouldn't leave them out.
That was
Unless you want a separate Southeast Asia. And I think that was a discussion we had last year. Hi, Felix. Sorry to come in, but
yeah,
we had this
that's
discussion
fine.
last year.
Okay,
and
so we
people in
should separate
Southeast Asia quite rightly said that, you know,
okay.
that Southeast Asia and East Asia might be distinguished from South Asia. I don't know. I'm just asking for colleagues, but I remember this discussion at the end of last year. Sorry to
Okay.
interrupt.
No, that's okay. That's a very good intervention.
Yeah.
Okay. So I think we can separate Asia, Southeast Asia from.
Okay, what was the name again, Shailaja?
Chester Archila. Chester, am I saying your name wrong? I'm really sorry, but do you want to say it's right? Chester Archila, Southeast Asia, from the University of the Philippines. I'll type it for you if you find it easier.
Okay.
Yeah, it's Arcilia. It's taken
Arcilia, thank you. I apologize. I do apologize.
No, it's okay. We're a Spanish colony, so the pronunciation of our names are kind of Spanish.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, fine. Okay.
So we are done.
Africa then?
Okay, Africa. I think Rikaya.
I'm here.
Okay, you're still interested, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So we want the correct spelling of your name. So could you please your full name? You could type
Okay,
it.
I'll type it and send it to you now.
Okay.
I'll type it
the
on
same
the
as,
chat.
it's the same as on the screen, right?
Yes, the same as on the screen. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So Africa. Who else, please?
It'd be nice to also have a regional balance in Africa as well, if you can.
Yeah, but then we want you to volunteer. So please volunteer so that we can make the choice.
Anyone from East Africa, South Africa, it would be nice to volunteer, or North Africa as well.
Okay. Let me make some points here that we may not. This is just a committee, so we may not be able to necessarily have all reps from all over Africa.
Correct.
Okay? Yes. So this is just an interim committee, but going forward in our activities, as much as possible, we will try and reflect the various parts, you know, of all members of UBASA. So Africa.
Maybe just to ask, as a PhD student, could I volunteer?
Sure.
Hello?
Yeah.
As a PhD student, can I volunteer?
Yes, you can.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Ketumese.
Yep.
Mabole.
That's it. Yep.
From which part of Africa?
I'm in Botswana, but I'm currently studying in Ireland. I'm currently visiting my home country, Botswana here, but I'm a PhD student in Ireland.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine.
Yeah. Thank you.
Josephine, are you still on the call? Josephine from Rwanda? Okay.
There's also Anna Marie Kagawesage, who's from Rwanda, who's on the chat.
Anna Marie. Okay.
Okay. So how many do we have so far for Africa?
We have 3.
Okay. I think we can make do with 3.
Yeah.
What do you think? Yeah. For Africa. So 3 Asia, 3 Africa.
We have got 4 Asia. Because we are separating here.
Okay, right.
3 Africa. Middle East, we have Jacqueline.
Okay.
South America, we have 2, Andres Patino and Isabella.
Okay. So in all, we have, how many? Is it 2?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8,
And
9.
I think from the Middle East, we had Jacqueline, right? We've still got her there?
Yeah.
Excellent. Thank you.
Okay. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There are 10 plus Felix. 10 plus Felix.
Well, I wanted to.
I'm volunteering you.
Oh, I was thinking they would. Maybe we'll give them the opportunity to. Okay, I can join them. I'll join them.
You'll need to guide on what has been happening before.
Sure.
But as to whether you coordinate as a group, you can agree on who the coordinator will be.
Yeah.
But I think there's a need to have somebody who has some history of what has been going on.
Sure. Okay. So I think let's agree on a timeline for reports. I mean, for us to submit a report to members.
Well, I'm not sure when the next council meeting is going to be, but there needs to be a report in that council meeting. I suspect October.
Okay.
So probably if we say by end of September, the committee has a report.
End of September, okay.
That will give you just 2 months.
Okay, should be fine. Okay.
Am I being too ambitious? Or we can report in the next council?
We can do it.
Yeah, okay. Otherwise, I'll have said we can report in the next council meeting that there's a committee working on it. As if you are not able to. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, do it. Right. So I think in order to facilitate a meeting after this session, maybe can we have a way of sharing our what do you see? I'm thinking of sharing our email or something so that we can pick up the discussion from here, because otherwise it's going to be very difficult to organize.
Yeah, I think to start off, I think we could forward the names to James to coordinate.
Okay.
He has all the contacts of everybody.
Okay, sure. James can assist. Okay.
He can make the call for the first meeting.
Okay.
And then that will be fine.
Okay. I think that's fine. Right.
Okay. So we are almost running out of time, I think.
Yes. But the last thing before we leave this discussion is that, you see, I think that from time to time, if there is a need for us to convene for a meeting, we would ask James to send emails to members. So please, for our first meeting after this this particular meeting, let us all endeavor to attend so that from there we can submit our reports to members and then we can kick off from there. I think that has been the challenge. The challenge has always been that after the conference, you send emails and then sometimes members don't respond to the email, then it becomes a problem.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, then I think.
Can I just ask Tuesday and Felix, was there a date that you'd fixed for the committee meeting or not yet?
No, not yet.
Not yet.
That's okay.
Not yet, but
I wondered if I missed something. That's okay.
Yeah. So what we agreed on is that we will ask, we will propose a meeting date and then ask James to help circulate to members on a meeting date, and then we can take it up from there. But what I was appealing for is that, you see, after this meeting, because this meeting is organized under DSA conference, but we are saying that after this meeting, if we want to report to members, we're still going to send emails to members. So I'm just advising that we should endeavor to respond to the emails, because it's been difficult organizing members, you know, in between DSA conferences. Okay, so if we can meet outside the conference and then, of course, have some discussions, I think that would be a first step in helping to revitalize the study group. Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. What we'll do is I'll ask James to circulate the call, but then after that, you need to form a WhatsApp group for this team.
Yes.
It becomes much easier to communicate.
Yes, yes, WhatsApp group, yes.
Yes.
So we can also decide that as part of the email, we will give our contacts to James.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know how data, you know, data protection and other things. You know, the UK data protection is a bit different from Africa. So we may have to discuss, you know.
Can I just also ask, do you have any sort of plans in terms of sharing documents which everyone can access easily? Do you have a plan for, you know, say set up a Google folder or an online folder where, you know, documents, meeting minutes, etc. can be easily accessed, or do you already have that system in place?
No, I don't think there is, but that will be the way forward.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, that will be the way forward.
Thanks.
Okay. Okay, I think we have exhausted our time. We might be kicked out of here any moment. Yeah, I would like to take this opportunity to thank all of you for this wonderful participation. It has been more interactive than the other meetings we have had before. I look forward to our being able to push our issues in a structured manner. I know it takes time to offer yourself to work on committees. Please, let's try to make that time. Sometimes you find as a coordinator or a convener, you find yourself, you are the entire quorum in the meeting. So please, as we have offered ourselves, let's try to create time. And then I think Felix will arrange for you to have some work plan of sorts, and also to select your leadership. I think with that, I'd like to say thank you very much. Let's hope we meet soon before the next conference. And in the meantime, enjoy your conference and have a nice year ahead.
And thank you, Tuesday, for chairing and steering everyone towards such a fruitful conversation. Thank you so much.
Thank you.